I'd like to get John Bird up here. John Bird's a dear friend of mine and a big admirer of Steve's, and they share an Alabama connection, and I think he picked the most perfect song that John Bird could have picked for this event.
It doesn't say Alabama in it once. I think I'm here because I try to write songs, and so I'm not used to the height of this cotton tonight, so I'm gonna take these words because as a writer, as a songwriter, the words are everything. And then there's the melody. If the Lord ever looks down from heaven, if I ever see him peeking from his stars, I'll say, Father, take me home. I'm together here alone, and I've thrown away the key to these bars. Oh, Father, you have made many rivers, and I followed them from the mountain to the sea. Now would you make me one that flows beyond the sun? Would you make a ship and sail it there for me? Once I dreamed I saw the Lord in a vision, and he spoke from his flowing beard of silver gray. He said, my son, you played the game, and you've used a rambler's name, but you never were a true hard roller anyway. He said, my son, he said, my son, I have made you many rivers, and you followed them from the mountains to the sea. And now I'll make you one that flows beyond the sun. Oh, I'll make a ship of grace and set you free. Oh, I'll make a ship of grace and set you free. Thank you, Jubal.
Well, when he was having health problems, and even after his major fall, he maintained a sense of humor, even when things were pretty grim looking for him. And a lot of people noted that, and it was kind of striking that he would joke and smile. And I mean, he wasn't always real happy about his situation, needless to say, but he did pretty much maintain a sense of humor right to the end. And both myself and others around him and people that knew him well felt he was at peace and was okay, in the last stage of his life. And So, you know, Steve was 6 years older than me, so I was the little kid brother underfoot, and, you know, once we grew up, it was like go away kind of a thing mostly. But he was always a good brother, you know. He'd bail me out of stuff if necessary. And I remember once when I was in junior high school, I think I was in the 7th grade, and he found out that there was some kids bullying and picking on me. So he and a couple of his high school friends came to my rescue and came over and told these kids on no uncertain terms they better leave me alone. And I was grateful for that and relieved, you know. He told me once, not so long ago, a few years ago, that he, you know, to not be able to move around and travel and have a freedom about that was akin to death. And he couldn't imagine not being able to do that. So, you know, it's, I think it's fortunate, and I'm sure he would not have wanted to linger, as Jubal stated, his son, when he passed away. He would not want to linger around in a broken mind and body, and fortunately he didn't have to do that for very long, and I think he was okay with that. You know, I mean, it was sad the way things happened and ended, but he, like I say, he seemed at peace. Well, yeah, of course, his most famous song was Seven Bridges Road, and been recorded by many people, most notably by the Eagles. But Ian Matthews, an English gentleman who he was friends with, first covered that song. Steve recorded it on an A&M label in 1969 on an album called Rock, Salt, and Nails, which is a classic album. You know, I think it was ahead of its time. And it was a progressive country, a little bit of rock and roll maybe in there, you know. And in those days, it was that was a new thing. You know, you had the Byrds, and I'm not even sure if the Byrds were actually in existence in '69. I've forgotten, but I think they might have been. And Graham Parsons, and people were doing, you know, a different kind of country-ish thing. Steve never really considered himself a country artist, but he was often labeled that, and he did. He loved some of the old classic country stuff and Hank Williams things and the blues, but he did a lot of different types of songs and genres, and he covered a lot of those really well. Hence, a lot of labels that when he was on record labels, often didn't know how to market him or what to do with him. They wanted to, you know, they like to put a square peg in a square hole, and he didn't always fit that mold, and that kind of proved difficult with marketing, I think, for them sometimes. But you know, the Seven Bridges Road, you know, it was recorded, like I say, by a lot of people. Dolly Parton did kind of a bluegrass version. Scruggs Review did that, Earl Scruggs Review, and Ian Matthews. He actually, it was his basic arrangement that the Eagles utilized on their recording, which is much different than Steve's original version. It was a more kind of slower, a little more of a ballad the way he did it. And you know, quite a number of people have done that over the years, and more recently, Alan Jackson did a live version of that. Quite a number of people have done that song. Waylon loved Steve, Waylon Jennings, and what he did. He once told him he listened to his recordings for inspiration one time. He said before he went to record. And he made some interesting statements about Steve and his ability. He rated him second only to George Jones as a singer, as a country singer. And he most famously did Lonesome, Ornery, and Mean as a song that Steve had sung and recorded, written and recorded So Waylon did that, and years ago, Hank Williams Jr. did a couple of his songs, Montgomery in the Rain and Long Way to Hollywood. And those were kind of autobiographical songs of Steve. They're excellent songs, and I didn't think Hank did nearly as good a job as Steve did. But, I think some of his best songs were never really recognized. He had some very fine songs that didn't get a lot of recognition, unfortunately. Well, the very last thing that he did was with Shooter Jennings, Waylon's son. And it was kind of a strange album called Contach. I think that's how you pronounce it. It was an Italian guy, that's his last name. And it was like a tribute to this man. And he had Steve sing on a cut of that album, which just came out a few months ago. And in one review I read, they singled that song out, saying that it was probably the strongest cut on the album. So Steve did a little guest shot on that. And that was, to my knowledge, the very last recording he ever made. And Shooter really appreciated Steve a lot, and has, stated some of that. And he famously said he probably didn't make it as a bigger music person and a star because on a certain level, he really didn't want to. He didn't want to engage and do a lot of the things that you maybe need and have to do in order to be a household name. He did all that as best he could, and he did okay, but he didn't really like the business end of it too much. He was a troubadour in a classic sense, and traveling, and he did all kinds of venues and jobs and gigs, from very small ones to very large ones, and he showed up and did them all with the same effort and intensity, I believe. He was very good with interviews, radio, and doing live stuff, and he was a great one-man act. And I've seen him really hold an audience over two sets, with just him and a guitar, which is not an easy task. But he was on the RCA label, and Waylon Jennings had strongly recommended that they sign Steve and record Steve, because Waylon was a big fan of Steve's. And on the first album that he did for RCA, this was about 75, more or less, something like that. It was great. The title of it was Renegade Picker. And it was a very progressive album. It wasn't strictly country. It was covered a lot of ground, and it was certainly ahead of its time, I think, for Nashville and what he was doing. And the producer was Roy Day, who allowed him a lot of freedom. Roy really loved what Steve did. And so they produced this record, and the second one was called No Place to Fall. But those albums, and I think particularly the first one, Renegade Picker, a group of critics a number of years ago made a list of some albums that it came out of Nashville, and it was on a list. It was voted one of the 50 best albums ever made in Nashville, according to them, of their opinion. And so he was on that list, and I think he was proud of that, and I was proud to have even sung harmony on something that I recognized. And so that was a cool thing. And so he only made the 2 albums for RCA, and we did a lot of touring around that. At the time, in '76, which was the bicentennial And Willie and Waylon were really hitting their stride. They were hitting the top of the charts then. And we opened some shows for a number of shows for them around the country. And that was a cool experience and a lot of fun. I wasn't sure I was going to survive it, but I did.
Well, you know, my dad was my hero big time. You know, I mean, the song was famous, as he would say. You know, and we did occasionally have somebody come up to us while we were minding our own business, eating in a restaurant when I was a kid, but it was pretty rare. But, you know, I was very proud of him. I you know, I have vivid memories of when the Eagles cut Seven Bridges Road and I, you know, hearing it on the radio, going down the street, stuff like that, watching it climb the charts, and it was a pretty exciting time. I know he was excited by it, and it was good. I enjoyed it. Well, let's see. Of course, the Eagles had the biggest hit with Seven Bridges Road, but it was done by a lot of different people. Waylon Jennings, of course, did Lonesome, Ornery, and Mean, kind of made it the outlaw country anthem in the 70s. Hank Jr. earlier in his career did pretty much every one that mentioned Hank Sr. Long Way to Hollywood, Always Loving You, Montgomery in the Rain. And, you know, various people have cut other songs. And he certainly had a wonderful catalog of material to choose from. I don't know if he ever said what he liked best about it, but I think what he clearly, to me, liked best about it was the artistic freedom, which is, I think, why he was never all that into working with the major labels. He kind of had a history of telling off label executives. And then the travel. I mean, I think he just really enjoyed seeing the world. And those are really my two favorite things too. So, you know, I definitely am a chip off the old block. You know, he was kind of a lone wolf. He didn't write songs with a lot of other people. I mean, I think he tried to co-write occasionally, but I don't think it ever went well for him because he was a plodder. You know, it was a slow, meticulous process for him. And he was finally honing and saying exactly what he wanted to say and writing about whatever he wanted to write about. So it wasn't real conducive to the Nashville cubicle system, you know. So, well, he wasn't really actively trying to do anything later in his career, to do anything for his career. You know, he sort of carved out a niche and, you know, was collecting royalties from the stuff people had cut in the past decades and was doing some touring. The last album of new material he put out was Switchblades of Love, and that was 1993 or 4. And the next couple of things he released was a live album and then the Songlines Revisited, which was sort of re-recordings of greatest hits. I know he was working on some stuff and doing some home recording, and I'm looking forward to pouring over that and seeing what we got. We might get a posthumous Steve Young album out of it, and we'll see. But he was done playing the game after a while. He was just done. Kind of disgusted him, and at almost 45 years old, I get it. Was it from the label side? I think it was just that I don't think he ever met a record label that he thought was really honest in the way they paid him. And on the majors, I think it was always that they were trying to shove him in some category that he wasn't comfortable being in. He didn't, you know, he was committed to being Steve Young, whatever the cost. And, you know, I find that pretty admirable. Hanging with, I know he's pretty good buddies with Tom Russell, people like Dave Alvin, Van Dyke Parks, you know, anybody that was original and interesting. He kind of enjoyed those sorts of people and people that were sort of unflinching about life, you know. And, you know, he wasn't into a bunch of hype and glitz and plastic crap. I have this really crazy early memory. I was probably only about 2, and I don't know what this was on, but I remember seeing him on the TV, you know, and I don't know if it was a local show around Nashville or what. This would have been at my parents' farm near Leaper's Fork back in probably 73 or something, but I do remember that. And, you know, I remember being at the sessions for what was to become the Renegade Picker album on RCA, and being present for some of those sessions, and seeing him play live, and it was just always a fixture of my childhood, is my dad and his music. Let's see, what other field would he have ended up in if it wasn't for music? That is tough. Maybe a Tibetan monk or something, I mean, seriously, that's something like that probably would have appealed to him in a way, Well, let's see, I know he was a fan of folks like David Olney's writing, and Billy Ed Wheeler, and he loved old Sun Record stuff. He loved early Elvis. That was his all-time favorite, and Jerry Lee and those guys. And old country, he loved Merle. He actually covered Merle more than once. And, I know he really appreciated Waylon, but I think he also kind of felt like the outlaw movement was, a lot of bullshit too. So, what are you going to do? Well, what advice would he give young songwriters today? Get a day job, I think, would be his biggest piece of advice would be get a job. He was typical with me. He really wanted to see me go do something else. And, I just wouldn't do it. And that's probably also pretty typical. But, I think the whole have some other way to make money would be a big piece of advice. But artistically speaking, I think I heard him say this a lot. You don't have to write songs about love. It doesn't all have to be boy-girl. Find interesting things to write about that are left to center. You can write a song about anything you want to write a song about. And I try to do that myself. His secret to success for him, I think, would be find your truth and stand in it. Be who you are, no matter what, and be true to yourself. And that may lead to obscurity, but at least you will be fulfilled artistically, because I know he never wanted to be a karaoke singer or pushed into some category or to do anything that made him uncomfortable or feel like he wasn't being who he was. And that's something I've striven for myself.
Nothing to be done about it but ignore it or see. Finally, Steve let go and plunged into that mystery. He just let God take him. And this is a verse from Luke. In the tender compassion of our God, the dawn from on high shall break upon us, to shine on those who dwell in darkness and the shadow of death, and to guide our feet into the way of peace. I think Steve would appreciate that we, like Rosa Maria, pray for him in this traditional prayer for the dead. Eternal rest grant unto him, O Lord, and let perpetual light shine upon him. May his soul and the soul of all the faithful departed, through the mercy of God, rest in peace.
Looks like a whole city, babe, where the hills aglow. Looks like a whole city, This silver lake, baby, is worth more than gold. They got some Spanish angels. They got a lot of soul. They got some Mexican angels. They got a lot of soul. It's Silver Lake, baby. It's about more than gold. I'll hear Rosa Maria say a prayer for me. Put a candle in the window so the jaded might see. Oh, Rosa Maria, thank you for praying for me. Find a place to stay. At least out the sunset sometimes we find a place to rest his soul. Oh, it's Silver Lake, baby. It's worth more than gold. I'll hear Rosa Maria say a prayer for me. Put a candle in the window so the jaded might see. Oh, Rosa Maria, thank you for praying for me. Thank you so much. Kim Young, come on, hurry, buddy. Sing fast, double.
This is a song that never got a whole lot of attention, but I talked to Steve about this, and some people are not familiar with it. It's a song called Dreamer.
I've been a drifter almost all of my days, and the ways of a gambler So here's to all dreamers. I know you know who you are. I hope that you find that waiting stars. Yeah, I hope you get drunk on your own special rewind. I know you've been dreaming for a long, long time. Paid your dues, now you sung your blues, and you traveled lonely miles. Yes, you've loved and lost and paid the cost for the dreaming in your mind.
There goes out to everybody here who's a dreamer.
All right. I believe now is the time. Yeah, we can blow those out. You might need your hands here in a minute. And I'd like to, let me go ahead and thank you all so much for being here. We're trying to wrap this up. Richard and Jim got us so far behind. And no, shh. And so we're going to try to plow through these next couple of songs. I want to thank Dave Preston so much, Nancy Moore, and Robert Williams back here, Rodeo B, Tom Hughes, Mark Fain, Lynn Williams. And I really, I need to thank Bill Hudson. He had a lot of good advice for me, the mayor of Music Row right there. And my father-in-law, actually. And this is Steve's mom, Frances. Everybody calls her Dixie. And I really owe a huge debt to my wife, Holly. But she's going to love this part. Every cool idea you've seen at this thing tonight was hers, because I had nothing. All I had was a job to do, and I didn't know how to do it. And that's my rock right there. Thank you, baby. Now, I got to introduce Steve's grandkids. Come on up, guys. All right. Just grab one of those chairs. All right. Over here is Sophie. It's her birthday today. The big 1-0. Happy birthday, baby. You can sing to her if you want to. Go ahead. And here's Chris Love in the house for coaching. Back here is Haven Hudspeth. This is Sophia Hudspeth. And we're going to do this Steve song that I think captures so much about him. And then immediately after that, we're going to get Dave Oney back up here, and whoever else wants to come up here. It doesn't matter at that point. We're going to do one final song for you and get out of here. Thank you all so much for being here. It's meant the world to me. This has been something that I've been working very hard on, maybe too hard, but mostly just because I'm an idiot and I didn't know what I was doing. Thank you, baby, for helping me, really, because I suck at this so bad. It's my first memorial, and, hope you all signed the guest book and enjoyed the incense, and thank you for loving Steve, and thank you for being here. I am a midnight rider, I ride on a midnight rail, and I've seen a glimpse of heaven, and it leads half ahead. For a road you rose for money, vain dreams of fame. Now I see it's only love to make me play the game. For you might see me some dark morning, come around some foggy bend, gazing at the houses that won't grow within. For I often wish I was an old villager who got up at dawn every day, went to work for his children, and then just drew his pain. But I am a midnight rider, yeah, riding on a midnight rail, and I've seen a glimpse of heaven, and it leads half ahead. Once I had a family, but they were gone one day. Now my family's in the faces that I meet upon my way. You know there's lights all in those faces, yeah, smiling up at me. It's them that hold the music in their hearts, they hold the key. Me, I'm just an old midnight rider, hey, riding on a midnight rail. Now I've seen a glimpse of heaven, and about half of hell. I hope I die out there riding some lonely, peaceful night, and the angels come down out of heaven to find me.
we're all midnight riders. Yeah, you're riding on midnight rail. With love we'll see a little more heaven and a whole lot less of hell. Those are my kids, man. Third generation Youngs coming at you soon. All right, Mr. David Olney. Oh. Uh-oh. Here's your hat. What's your hurry? All right, we're going to leave you with this. Thank you again so much. Thanks to everybody for being here again. It's been wonderful, even if slightly over schedule. I felt like this would be a good end to the night. This is another one from Switchblades of Love, which is kind of one of my favorite Steve albums. And Dave is going to start us off on this.
It's okay. Tell that watcher in your mind you're not running out of time. You called on an eternal time, and the truth is still on the line. So have a laugh, have a smile, be good to yourself every once in a while. It's alright, it's okay, it's all going back to the truth.
Every once in a while. okay, 'cause it's going on back to the truth one day. Tell you what you in your mind,
Smile.
running out of time.
How will I? How to smile?
Still on the line.
How will I? How to smile? On your mind, over a little while. Till they want you in your mind. You're not running out of time. You're called on an eternal line, and the truth is still on the line.
All right. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you.